You will have probably seen by now that Blizzard has been making headlines once again for not ideal reasons. So Warcraft 3 Reforged launched, and if you go to the Metacritic page right now, you'll find that the user score is at a 1.4 from almost 2,000 ratings. So the question is, what is going on? Well, turns out that Warcraft 3 Reforged not only retroactively makes the original game worse, but also launched with a host of issues and numerous what one could call downgrades to elements of the way the game works. And it's all just a mess, and I'm going to go through exactly what's going on right now based on all the feedback that's been relayed by the community, based on all the information that's out there. So I think the Polygon article here best summarizes the whole situation from the very beginning, from back when Warcraft 3 Reforged was announced. So let's go through this article, and then I'm going to get into the specifics with what the community has been reporting. So the article begins with, Warcraft 3 Reforged came out yesterday and fans are not happy. This is a bit more complicated than your run-of-the-mill people are angry on the internet situation. However, that's because this new game and the old one, the product that was first released in 2002, are intermingled. The end result is that the inadequacies of Warcraft 3 Reforged are being foisted upon people still playing the original Warcraft 3. So if you don't like Warcraft 3 Reforged, you don't have the option to just go back to OG Warcraft 3 and just experience the game the way it originally was. You're just kind of forced to use the new systems in place for Reforged, and that's pissing off a lot of people, especially given that Reforged just doesn't work as intended at launch, and some of the things that do work as intended are just ass-backwards decisions. The article continues, to tell the story of how we got here, we need to dial back the clock to 2018. That's when Blizzard rolled out a big update for Warcraft 3, which included balance changes for its heroes, widescreen monitor support, and an update to its pool of maps. Out came a new launcher, one that was similar to the modern launcher for Blizzard's Battle.net, and there is indeed an article on that front. Here's a headline that reads from back in February 2018, Blizzard's Warcraft 3 updates have fans hoping for a remaster. Why is a 16-year-old game getting a new patch and invitational tournament? That raised possibilities for a remaster. People were excited about the prospect. Going back to the 2020 article, Polygon continues, the other shoe dropped later that year with the announcement of Warcraft 3 Reforged at the BlizzCon fan convention. More than just a remaster of the original game, Blizzard described it as a complete reimagining of the real-time strategy classic. Keep in mind that Warcraft 3 Reforged was announced during the BlizzCon, in which the whole Diablo Immortal debacle took place. A lot of people deemed Warcraft 3 Reforged to be one of the few good announcements that year. So there was a lot of excitement, especially with the promises that were made. Speaking of, let's take a look at the promises. So at a glance, people thought, okay, Reforged is an HD remaster of the classic Warcraft 3, but then the developers came out to say that Warcraft 3 Reforged is actually more than just a remaster, it's an overhaul in certain respects. So it reads right here, part remaster, part rebalancing, part retcon. Reforged will be a major update for the game that won't leave players of the original behind. From a technical standpoint, the two versions of the game will live under one client to achieve that compatibility. So this is an aspect that was hinted at way back when. What people didn't expect was that the new version, Reforged, would be so much worse and that it would affect Warcraft 3, the original, in negative ways. The developers then talked about how with StarCraft Remastered, a lot of the fans just wanted them to leave everything alone and just upgrade the graphics, but with Warcraft 3, seemingly a lot of the communities in Europe and China, they said, hey, we don't think this game is done, and so Blizzard decided to change a lot of things from balancing and other elements that go beyond just the mere graphical update. Stillwell said, let's push it, let's get it to be as perfectly balanced as StarCraft, let's add more to the editor because it's already powerful, and like a good Blizzard game, it's easy to learn, difficult to master, but let's also make it even deeper. Blizzard further specified by saying that they would enact hundreds of balance changes to heroes, units, and buildings. They talked about how they want to reforge the game's cinematic cutscenes. That's a big point that will come up a bit later in this video. And then they talked about potentially retconning some of the strategy game story with a renewed focus to a few central characters that we thought deserved a little bit more time in the limelight. And the retconning was going to be done to have Warcraft 3 fit better with World of Warcraft, but eventually they did walk back the retconning of the story. They decided to keep that the same in the end. As the 2020 Polygon article highlights here, Blizzard even planned on some light story retconning, which it later walked back. From there, Polygon talks about the cutscenes that were supposed to be remastered, reworked to look much better. It reads, Blizzard did update some Reforged cutscenes to an extent. Some in the community appear unhappy with the results. Reforged looks better than the original, but it falls short of the sizzle reel shown in 2018. There are 2 videos that have been embedded here. This is what Blizzard advertised. This is what we got in the end. So let's actually take a look at those 2 videos. You're going to spot the differences immediately. It's pretty damn clear how much of a downgrade that cutscene overhaul received. So here we go.
Oh no, we're too late. These people have all been infected. They may look fine now, but it's just a matter of time before they turn into the undead. This entire city must be purged.
What? How can you even consider that? There's got to be some other way.
Damn it, Uther. As your future king, I order you to purge this city!
So that's a teaser for one of the reforged cutscenes that Blizzard promised. But then if you look at the final results, you'll see that the cinematic camera's gone and the visual fidelity just isn't quite there. It's not even close.
Oh no. We're too late. These people have all been infected. They may look fine now, but it's just a matter of time before they turn into the undead. This entire city must be purged.
What? How can you even consider that? There's got to be some other way.
Damn it, Uther. As your future king, I order you to purge this city.
So yeah, you get the idea, and there's plenty of side-by-side comparisons out there on the internet that further highlight the discrepancies here. This is just false marketing. Outright. Now, beyond reforged cutscenes not living up to their promise, there is also the fact that there are a host of issues plaguing Reforged right now, as highlighted by Polygon in this paragraph here, which reads, customers are complaining about connectivity issues, they can't reliably connect to custom matches, they can't access custom campaigns that worked just fine previously, there is no support for a competitive ladder. Making matters worse is the fact that there's simply no going back. Even if you install the original Warcraft 3, you're still going to end up with the same issues once you connect to Blizzard's online services, because the infrastructure is now the same for both the old and the new versions of the game. They have essentially been merged, so whatever issues there are with Reforged, players of the original Warcraft 3 will experience as well, so there is no going back. And that right there is really one of the biggest shames. You are essentially stuck with the Reforged version of Warcraft 3 now with all of its flaws. And while the visuals have been improved in some ways, so if you are in-game, you'll see that textures have been enhanced and models have been refined, so on and so forth. A lot of people are also finding that the differences aren't so clear that it makes that much of a difference, and it certainly doesn't make up for the flaws of Reforged. As Kotaku's article on this matter highlighted, Reforged's biggest improvement over original Warcraft 3 is its graphical upgrade, but it doesn't actually make that much of a difference. The heightened visuals can be showcased by zooming way in via the revamped camera, but that's not a very practical way to play the game. And then one last thing that's proven contentious is a policy change that Blizzard has made that Polygon summarized as follows. Blizzard has also updated some of its terms and conditions as it relates to custom game modes. It appears to be a defensive move to protect the company from losing out on the revenue generated by adaptations based on its work. You'll recall that Dota began life as a fan-made custom map for Warcraft 3 and then transitioned into a multi-billion-dollar genre all of its own. The new language effectively means, as PC Gamer put it, that all of your Warcraft 3 Reforged custom game modes belong to Blizzard, and that rubs the community the wrong way. So let's actually go to that PC Gamer article right here. The headline reads, all your Warcraft 3 Reforged custom games belong exclusively to Blizzard. And some quotes worth highlighting include, any custom games that use copyright material from third parties are banned. That means Warcraft 3 custom games like Anime Fight, Dragon Ball Z Tribute, and Pimp My Mario cannot be remade. Now, it is highlighted by PC Gamer that this isn't necessarily unusual with modern games, but it's just sad to see that so much creativity is going down the drain with Reforged's new policy. But this is just one part of it. There's this part as well. A larger part of Blizzard's policy details how all ownership of custom games and Reforged belongs to Blizzard and not the creators. That means Blizzard can do whatever it wants with any custom games, which includes removing them completely if the content is deemed inappropriate. This is also a pretty standard policy. And finally, PC Gamer highlighted, however, where Blizzard has gone a bit further than other policies, including those written up by Epic Games and Riot, is having instant and total copyright ownership of all custom games. What that means is any custom game made in Warcraft 3 Reforged cannot be replicated anywhere else. This gives Blizzard the power to shut down any standalone versions of custom games made in Reforged. This is clearly a preventative measure on Blizzard's part to ensure that they don't miss out on another Dota. Recall that Dota started out as a custom Warcraft map that eventually took a life of its own before Valve Corporation bought the franchise, and then Dota 2 is now exclusively on Steam. What Blizzard doesn't seem to understand, though, is that something like Dota was made possible because Warcraft originally encouraged creativity by allowing people to make all of these custom maps that didn't come with all of these caveats. But now with this new policy, people are discouraged from engaging in creative endeavors with these custom maps because there might be repercussions, or because their content, the thing that they created, might be copyrighted by Blizzard. It allows Blizzard to just take somebody else's work as their own. So yeah, aside from a few visual upgrades here and there from the original Warcraft 3, Reforged feels like a step back more than anything. And if you go to the Warcraft 3 Reddit right now, you will see plenty of people complaining and just protesting these awful changes. And one of the top Reddit posts right now is this Warcraft refunded logo that's gained a lot of traction. Plenty of people posting comparisons between the promised updated cutscenes versus what we got in the final product. There is one individual here talking about how even with the final game being released and with the cutscenes not living up to the original promise, Blizzard's official website uses the BlizzCon cutscenes, the ones that actually had that dynamic camera and improved visuals, to advertise the game. And having visited the website myself, you can see right here this is indeed true. This trailer shows the old version of the Reforged cutscenes that look much better than what we actually got. Going back to Reddit, scrolling further down, you'll find posts like, I genuinely believe that a group of passionate modders would have done a much better job than this multi-million-dollar company. Honestly, that's probably correct. And yeah, this is just a clusterfuck, to say the least. Right here we have a Reddit post highlighting exactly what features were removed from the original Warcraft 3, and the list reads as follows: automated tournaments, clans, profiles, ladder, 3D animated campaign backgrounds, 3D animated portraits in Battle.net, /commands in Battle.net chat, communal channels listing, custom campaigns, Battle.net news section, ROC campaign balance, and there is more that's listed out by other community members. Here's another Reddit post pointing out some visual bugs that are plaguing Reforged with models not loading in. And it's not just Reddit that's being lit on fire right now. Same goes for the official Blizzard forums, with people posting stuff like this. Well done, Blizzard. I couldn't think that you would be able to ruin this game that much. Unit movement are locked to what? 20 frames per second, 2020, and they move like clunky robots. The very same cutscenes as in Classic. No new campaigns, no new interface, completely fucked up localization. Just try it in German and how many errors there are. No new custom game lobby. Honestly, it feels like the laziest custom game selection ever. Why not take the one from StarCraft 2? No new reworked story elements. You really charge money for models, and that's it. That is legit all there is. Here's another user highlighting the implications of the recent policy changes on Blizzard's part. This post reads, I've already posted this, but I think it deserves its own thread. The world editors, EULA, has been changed. The intellectual property of your maps belong to Blizzard, not you, and they are not required to compensate you in any way if they use it. Copyrighted material is not allowed in any custom maps, which means a multitude of older maps such as Anime Fight, DBZ Tribute, and Pimp My Mario are now banned. Any content which is deemed inappropriate by Blizzard can be removed at their discretion, which is probably why the shiny new report button is a thing. In short, the custom game scene has a lot of new limitations, and a lot of older maps are going to be killed off. I'd say take your ideas and go elsewhere. This would be like if Skyrim mods were suddenly copyrighted by Bethesda and Bethesda had full ownership over other people's creation. Imagine the kind of ripple effect that would have on the modding community. That's kind of what's going on here. What were essentially Warcraft 3 mods have been neutered. And then here's another user talking about all of the removed features or the downgraded elements. This user begins talking about how they would like to play just the original Warcraft 3, but that is no longer possible with the latest update. The old Classic client is gone. It forces you to download the new Reforged client and play it using Classic graphics, which cuts a lot of features that existed in previous versions. And here's a list. Cross-region play. The custom game list is no longer global, and you can't play with other players from other realms, meaning it's much harder to find players and fill game lobbies. Custom campaigns, clans, player profiles, ladder, good BattleNet, beautiful UI and menus, creative freedom in custom games, classic graphics and Reforged client look worse. ROC campaign is now using TFT balancing. So those are touted as the features that have been cut. And then right here are features that were available before 2018 and have been cut during the latest updates. Arranged teams, reconnection via gproxy, overall game stability, online lobby list and in-game chat available from a browser, competitive custom games, ability to kick and ban trolls, better ping/latency, protection against hacks and map hacks, anti-spam protection, automatic replay saving and archiving with easy search from a website, game/replay archive, probably many more things that I can't recall at this moment. Finally, here we have one of many posts of people in the forum saying that they're going to refund their Warcraft 3 Reforged purchase, which is why this logo right here is becoming such a meme. The cherry on top is that there are rumors spreading that Blizzard is banning users on forums for helping people with getting a Warcraft 3 Reforged refund. And while this is still just rumors, I cannot confirm this, there are plenty of people talking about this across Reddit, across the Blizzard forums, so on and so forth. So this is the current situation, ladies and gentlemen. This is why Warcraft 3 Reforged right now has a 1.4 user score. If I refresh this, what happens? Does that score lower? Nope, it stays the same, but the number of user scores has increased by 100 or so. I don't know what to say, except what happened to you, Blizzard? Who are you? Because you are not who we grew up with. It's just been one misstep or baffling decision after another, from the Diablo Immortal misstep from back in BlizzCon 2018 to the whole China controversy that they saw right before BlizzCon 2019. And now with the botched launch of Warcraft 3 Reforged, it is becoming more and more apparent that Blizzard has lost its soul. It's becoming more corporate. I think former Blizzard employees David Brevik, Eric Schaefer, and Max Schaefer put it best when they were interviewed by PC Gamer back in 2019 about the recent Blizzard controversies. They expressed that Blizzard has completely changed, that it's no longer the same company. And for those who don't know who they are Blizzard North's founders and Diablo creators. And they chimed in with quotes such as, "It's not sort of changed, it has completely changed. The old Blizzard is gone. When we quit, there was like 180 employees total. There's thousands now. The whole empire's different, and Activision didn't have any influence. At that point, it was just Blizzard and then some anonymous corporate owner, Vivendi or whoever. That was it. And so now Blizzard is a video game empire that has to appease shareholders and all that sort of stuff." And then scrolling down further, Eric Schaefer added, "I think the biggest thing is we didn't talk about shareholders. shareholder value. We didn't talk about Chinese government and what they might want. The only thing we ever talked about was what we wanted to do and what the fans would like. It's obviously not the case anymore, for better or worse. I don't blame them. They are a giant corporation. You can't be that big and be as freewheeling as we were, and one of the reasons we left was to be more self-deterministic and not to be beholden to some monstrous organization. Nothing ever stays the same. We would not have survived Blizzard's growth in any form by staying there. It would have just driven us crazy, because it's just all we want to do is have a team and make the games we want to make. That's possible in the small group like Blizzard used to be, and it's not possible in a media conglomerate empire thing that they have right now. You don't have to be a former Blizzard employee to feel all of the words that were expressed in this article. You can feel Blizzard turning more and more corporate, caring less and less about the state of their products and the way they're launched. And I mean, what more is there to say? This whole situation just sucks, and Blizzard has retroactively botched one of the most memorable games in video game history. Once again, you cannot go back to the way things were with the original Warcraft 3, since that has now been merged into this reforged abomination. And if that isn't the perfect analogy for Blizzard itself, I don't know what is. Blizzard itself has gone from Blizzard to Blizzard Reforged. I've said all there is to say, and this is one man's take on this whole situation. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on Warcraft 3 Reforged and the controversy surrounding the game's launch. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Yong Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Yong out.